Late one night, about 3 months ago now, I had a good conversation with my fellow hobbyist Trent on the YouTube channel Miscast. I finally got around to editing it, so here it is. I'm also going to put a link to an MP3 in the video description below in case you just want to listen to it in the car or something like that. Alright, thanks for giving me the time, man. I appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for organizing this.
Yeah. You're someone that I've watched you for quite some time. You don't put out videos all that often, but
no, more now.
Yeah,
Lots of time now.
Yeah, I've noticed you've gotten sort of back into it, and you're. I've mentioned it in a few recent episodes about some things that I've learned from you. So I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit tonight and have a conversation.
Sure.
Yeah. If memory serves, you have on occasion talked about your dad, and you make something with him, or can you talk about that?
I do bring up my dad a lot. He's not in the hobby with me, but I just watch him working around the house or problem solving, trying to pick up lessons from him, indirectly or directly. But I think when I started doing like crafting stuff, that's when I had something in common with him, because I wasn't into necessarily building big stuff or electrical work or anything like that he's skilled in. Mm-hmm. I bring up things to my dad that he doesn't necessarily remember, but I think you pick up a lot.
Growing up, I was always helping my dad out, and my brothers too. We would do home improvement projects and stuff like that, and those skills, the using of your hands and doing math in your head and stuff, it translates over to our thing. So and then
yeah,
my mom is always really she's a creative type. Interior decorating, themed parties, just really coming up with cool ideas, that sort of thing. So I kind of got a best of both worlds there. So you think that, you feel that, I won't say it's a weakness, but like the areas that you like to focus on, that your style goes to, is a little more freewheeling, experimental, not so much a planner.
Yeah, I think that's where most of the enjoyment comes from, starting something and not necessarily know where it's going. Yeah. It can get you in trouble a bit later on, but there's not much that super glue and bicarb soda can't fix up. Yeah. Bridge a gap or whatever.
Bicarb. Hey, say aluminum for me, would you?
Aluminum.
What games do you play?
We have a local club, so basically anything that someone's playing, everyone's playing, and at the moment it's Warhammer Fantasy, like old school Warhammer Fantasy with the square bases, and D&D are the two big ones, and Necromunda. And as a club we sort of do a circuit of all the games, so we do a season of each game. And I think up next is Gaslands, which we're really excited for. I've bought my car and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. I was at a conference a couple months ago and built a car for Gaslands. I haven't played it. It was just a workshop to build, to trick up the car. And that was super addicting.
Well, that's going to be the funnest bit, right?
It is, yeah.
Sure, I can do that all day.
I got enough going on right now with this.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
You a DM or a player?
I do like to play more than DM, but, whatever it takes to get people playing,
I'm rarely a player. I'm not a very good player. I'm a terrible role player. I like all the GMing side of things. So most people, they talk about pay-to-play DMing now is becoming a thing, but I've always found DMing to be the easier role, honestly. Have you ever thought about letting a terrain piece dictate the scenario for the night, as opposed to coming up with a scenario and building the terrain for it?
We don't actually, this sounds very sacrilegious, but we haven't actually been using any terrain or anything like that. It's just been pen and paper and maps and stuff like that. I think I enjoy that more in that setting. I love filling tables with terrain for wargaming and all that sort of stuff.
Probably 50% of the time, I don't use any terrain. I just do pure theater of the mind.
Yeah.
So, and I have a damn YouTube channel based on it. People probably are surprised to hear that, but yeah, theater of the mind is great. Do you have a particular favorite book? I'll say first in the Warhammer verse.
I love all the old Chaos stuff. I love all like the Blanche art and all that sort of stuff. Really like gritty, grimy stuff. I love the Mordheim book as well. That sort of black and white. The grit around the edges was I think really important in terrain making. I mean, D&D role playing wise, you know, just going through the player's handbooks and the DM guide, it's just, you know, looking at all the magic items and scenery and all that.
It's weird how rereadable they are, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned something a minute ago about you thought of something to make, you know, after a game, and I've done that, and I will build it because I can get an episode content out of it, honestly, and people will enjoy it and get views. But and I don't feel it's at a loss here because it just goes on the display shelf. Do you build for your channel or not, or some mix?
It's a bit of a mix at the moment. Our club is relatively new, so a lot of the stuff I make goes straight to the club. It just gets donated there and played there. So I'm building stuff that can be used for the games that we're playing at the moment. So next up, so that's why I did a heap of Necromunda stuff, but next up will be all the Gaslands and things like that, which I'm really excited for because it's a whole other scale. A little bit intimidating too. And
why do you say that?
I don't know. It's just, I feel like making things big is very easy to cover up mistakes and hide things and just tack bits onto it if it doesn't look right, or cover it up with a bit of moss, or you know. So I would like to do some more scale modeling stuff, you know, that really small scale, which is a whole other realm, which I'm very intimidated by. And I mean, like, I love watching channels like Luke APS and Luke Tarwin and seeing the techniques that they use and trying to adapt some of them for the style I like to make.
I've tried to make trees, and it's like my kryptonite or something. I cannot make a tree to save my life. And I've watched every
naturally,
video.
That's so beautiful. Like you're really trying to, like hard edges and all that sort of stuff. You know, that's all easy stuff. You're trying to make something really organic and look natural. I think that's everyone's kryptonite.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
The terrain I'm making, a lot of it I do make for videos, and I try to make stuff for a particular lesson that I'm trying to teach in the video. So if I've picked up a technique, I try to find a build that can relate to that. Or if there's something I want to try, I'll make a build around that. My content doesn't feel too samey. If you watch enough of the videos, that you're learning something new, which I feel is a bit of a you know, especially when I don't release that many videos and they're all quite short. I don't really want to be repeating myself if I don't have to. So.
You know, your there is something about your format that resonates, because I mean, you don't release a lot of videos. By all accounts, the algorithm shouldn't favor you, right? But you get a lot of views because your content is fascinating. It's beautifully presented, and it's concise. As you just said, it's concise and it doesn't get bogged down. And there's just something that resonates. It just clicks.
Definitely, I've been a little bit more self-indulgent with my editing and all that sort of stuff, trying to put in more little things that are important to me that might not necessarily be relevant to everyone, which, you know, is a bit of a tricky thing, because I mean, I've talked about this a lot with other people that make tutorials, but if you open like a White Dwarf magazine and you see one of their terrain tutorials, I don't know if they still do terrain tutorials now, maybe everything's different, but a few years ago, you know, you can learn an entire process in just 4 pictures, you know, just seeing each step of the build. So when you translate that to a video, you know, everything that you add, I think should have some significance to do what those 4 pictures couldn't in a print format. You don't even need to read the text in the magazine to understand what's going on. That's what I try to do with videos, is translate that. Obviously still trying to make it entertaining, and now I've tried to put more personality in videos as well. But
I've started doing that lately too. It's been pretty fun.
I think it's important because there's so much good content now. Like, you know, when I first started, I was trying to fill a void in content that I thought, you know, the hobby needed a few years ago, which was just watching YouTube content from big creators like million sub creators and thinking like, wow, this is so great and well presented and so concise, and like you know, like cooking shows and all that sort of stuff, taking inspiration from that, and then putting it in this format with the hobby I really like. There wasn't very many people doing that at the time, but now I think, you know, we're spoiled for choice. If you look at subscription feeds, you know, there's hours of content from all the best creators. So I think now personality is really important because you can't really get that anywhere else. Our hobby, like in terrain making, is so unique compared to something like miniature painting, where they start with something already beautiful and they try to, you know, make it more beautiful. But with terrain making, we're really, you know, starting from nothing and trying to make something.
You say terrain making. I dabble. I would say I'm more into crafting, right? Found objects, into however you want to put it. Do you do that kind of stuff as well? You know, not just terrain set pieces, but a tavern bar or a wizard's podium or something.
Yeah, I do notice in the crafting scene there's a lot of like found objects and repurposing things and all that sort of stuff. Especially if you go on like the Tabletop Crafters Guild Facebook page, it's like, what can I make with this and what can I make with that? I think that's really cool. When I use them, I think my goal is to make it so it's unrecognizable from how it started, because I think for me a lot of the magic is taken away when I bring something to the club and show it off to everyone and goes, oh, I recognize that thing, or I know what that is. And I think for some people they might find that really exciting, but I think, you know, just focus on how cool it is. Been working all night on this, you know what I mean?
I'm a little the opposite. I liked it them to see how clever it was that it got used. We're a little different in that regard. Oh, that kind of reminds me. You, in one video, once said it was for joining slabs of foam together. You could use hot glue. I'm gonna do my best impression of you. You could use hot glue.
Oh,
no one likes hot glue.
Yeah,
hot glue is life, son.
The hot glue has a time and a place. I don't like using it because it's very hard to hide its crimes fast. That's why I'd rather use super glue, because most of the time you don't even know it was there.
Do you have a favorite, a video you're most proud of, and why?
I definitely do. The problem solving one, which is the story about my dad and sort of teaching me about problem solving and the importance of it. Like there's not very many of my videos that like I can watch, like personally, that I want to watch, but you know, like every few months or so I want to watch it because it just want to remind me how I felt at that time. Making these videos and writing scripts, like it can be a little bit of an emotional thing, like thinking about, you know, things that are really important to me, and I spend a long time thinking about things or presenting them in a way that I think will best resonate with people, and that's something I've been trying to do a lot more now. That's what I'm saying with all the personality stuff. It's I think it was important for me to make that as well, because then I can show my family, I can show my mum and my brother and my sister, you know, what my dad means to me, and you know, stuff as well. In an ideal world, I really want to be making videos about other people. Like I don't want to be making videos about myself necessarily. It's just like that's what I have access to, you know, like it's very hard where I'm located to necessarily reach out to other people or film with them or try to get their stories. So yeah, that was like my thing. When I finished that video, I was like, well, if this is the last thing I ever release, then that's fine by me, because it's like, yeah,
Do you have other, nerds in your family or extended family that you can game with? See, all mine, they watch my videos and everything, but they're not nerds like us.
No, I got into the hobby from my brother. So he was in the hobby briefly, I think, until he discovered girls, and then he passed his Warhammer on to me.
Yeah.
But
I met a woman early in my life, so I love it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, I think. He collected wood elves, which are the wood elves that I inherited, and I've repainted up. So that's something I want to make a video about as well. The significance of all that to me, because growing up, he was always my sort of idol, the person that I always looked up to in my life. So I just wanted to do the cool things that he did, and he collected wood elves, which are like the really cool elves. So being the younger brother, I collected high elves, because obviously I want to be like him, but I don't get the cool elves.
Moving back to your style, your aesthetic a little bit, what are your 3 favorite movies in I'll say the fantasy sci-fi genres, the ones that would be very visually interesting?
Blade Runner would be a big one, especially doing all the Necromunda stuff. It's just so cool and timeless. Fantasy-wise, I've watched the behind the scenes of the Lord of the Rings trilogy like every time I'm starting a terrain project. It's on the monitor and I'm doodling something. I love all the old stuff with practical effects and puppets and all that sort of stuff as well.
I was just wondering how, or if you think that translates into the products that you make.
Maybe. I'm probably more inspired by video games and stuff, because that's sort of what I was into growing up, all the JRPG stuff, like Final Fantasies and stuff like that.
7 or 8? Which is better.
Definitely 7, but I played 8 first, so...
I did too, yeah. It was the first one I ever did, 8, then 7, both of them on PC, the original PC releases.
Okay,
and, I like them pretty much equally. I like the soundtrack of 7. I don't think you can beat the soundtrack of 7.
No, of course
anywhere.
Yeah. The aesthetic of 7 I love so much, because it's that combination of sci-fi and fantasy. It's just, that fusion is really cool, especially in the that Necromunda build that I did, where I recycled all my old projects, and some of it was fantasy stuff and some of it was sci-fi, and that's what I was going for with their old.
I was listening to the soundtrack for 7 the other night. I often put it on the midis. I'm talking like the ripped midis. I'll just listen while I'm crafting. What do you listen to?
Audiobooks, typically. Fantasy stuff, mostly.
You can focus on an audiobook while you're crafting?
Oh, for sure. Wow. For sure. Okay. And so often I get inspiration from the audiobooks and what I'm doing. I always have a notepad on hand where I'm like, whether it's something for like an RPG idea or a build or something like that, even quotes and things to put in videos and stuff as well. I think audiobooks are my go-to generally, unless I need to get pumped up, then I'll put on a soundtrack or something like that.
Wow. That just goes to show you how different people are. I mean, I have on occasion failed to hear my kids screaming because I've just got so much going through my mind when I'm working, and I have no notepad. Like I don't have a notepad and a pen. I do it all up here. So that's why it's got to be music, low-key music.
I'm always scribbling stuff down.
Yeah.
It's just even just words or something, like you hear something like a good word, I'm like, oh, that would be great to build off something.
With that hairstyle, it doesn't surprise me to hear.
This is my isolation haircut at the moment, so I don't have very many options.
Yeah. What are those things behind you?
They're just to help reduce the echo. They're my audio acoustic panels. They normally live in the garage where I'm filming.
Oh, kind of on that note, can we talk hardware real quick? So what's your workflow? What models, equipment do you use, and what software do you use for editing, etc.?
Yeah. Okay. I use a Fujifilm X-T10, which is one of their older models. I think you can buy it on eBay for like 400, 500 Australian dollars. And I bought it for photography, but then it turned out filming things was so much more fun. Software-wise, I'm using Premiere and After Effects.
I've just recently decided to actually try and learn how to use my DSLR, and
Sure.
so the triangle and all that, just not using the auto setting, and it's amazing. I didn't even know what it was capable of, and my only complaint is that it's so slow focusing. But
okay,
yeah, do you have that issue with yours, or?
I do everything manual focus.
Yeah.
And I'm shooting everything on vintage lenses, so I don't have the option anyway.
Okay. Hey, you actually don't have much movement anyway. The camera's stationary.
No, yeah, 100% of the time it's on a
Right.
tripod.
Okay.
It's because I do get asked about gear a lot, and I think just having lenses to play with and set focus on and all that sort of stuff makes a massive difference in terms of production. Like, obviously you can film things on your phone, but just being able to play with how things are framed and what you're putting in focus and what you're putting out of focus, I think elevates things so much more.
So I had built a couple of big light boxes out of foam board and tin foil, and I had 900 watts in each of them, which was a bit much. And then they were mounted on PVC poles anyway, so I finally bought some off Amazon. They were classy until they started sparking because the solder came loose. So then I bought a real one off Amazon. All right, so last one, and it's sort of a big overarching thing, would be what do you feel is your biggest aha or breakthrough moment that you've had in your stuff making career? I'm not talking about videos, but in your actual at the workbench.
Recently it was oil paints because they just look so beautiful. Then weathering pigments, which were like, having textures and stuff for light to react and bounce off of and make things look dusty. So both of those moments, I just, it just takes things to the next level. Speed that I'm working is a lot faster too. I just keep going now, and just like I'll let the mistakes happen. And then I think I learned that lesson after one night. I sort of locked myself in the garage. I've recorded all this, but it didn't really turn out to be much. But I just made as many crafts as I could one night. And
that's where you did, was that the wall 10 ways or something like that?
I sort of did that. That was the precursor to this next video. I thought, maybe I'll make as many fantasy builds as I can, something like that. I can't remember what it was, but I think I set myself like 5 minutes to make something, and I was just like slamming things together, like trying to make balsa wood houses and all that sort of stuff. But just letting the mistakes happen and getting faster and realizing, the mistakes aren't as important that you make early on, further down the line. You don't need to fix everything. Nothing has to be perfect, because as a whole, at the end, it's fine. What about you?
Rust. The first time I got a good-looking rust was like one of the most excited moments I've ever had at my table. And then I do a lot of modular stuff, which kind of does necessitate precision and measuring things that lock together. So I do a lot with chipboard and dungeon tiles that lock together and catwalk systems that lock together. You really do have to be precise so it all is going to fit together. But the first time I thought of using chipboard for that purpose sort of set me off, and I couldn't sleep that night and made all kinds of stuff. But recently, it's just, like I've said a lot lately, it's just been being more fearless and just you got to start. Don't think so much about it before you start. That's open worlds.
You do hear a lot about like crafter's block and all that sort of stuff. Me, I think I've been trying to overcome that by starting more projects, without necessarily a goal in mind, just trying to make a cut and see what happens.
Well, you get started and you feel like this should be better than my last thing, and I don't want to waste my time, so this needs to be the best thing I've ever made so far, which means I need to use every trick in the book that I've learned so far. But that's really not true. You should use as few tricks as in the book as possible, right? I mean, was it a French saying that something's perfect not when there's nothing left to add but nothing more you can take away?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So to get to a nitty-gritty level, you might have a nice row of weathering pigments on your shelf, and then next to them is some Vallejo effects paints, and then there's some texture paste, and I got all these cool tricks that I can use. So surely if I use all of them, I'm going to get an ultra awesome looking realistic thing. But one, that's probably not the case. Probably just going to look like a mess. And two, it's not going to look very unified.
Sure.
Yeah, you want it to have a vision, a purpose, a mission statement, you know.
Yeah. I think I would like to do more stuff based off concept art and all that stuff as well, trying to execute other people's ideas.
Google image search. Let's do this. And if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Okay.
So everyone can leave a comment with what you want Trent to do next in this video, in the comments to this video. So as of the moment of this taping, I know that not everyone who watches me has heard of you, even though you should have. So you need to go to Miscast and subscribe, and really you do. You need to catch up on Trent's whole backlog.
Thank you.
Yep. Outstanding.
It's not. It will take you half an hour to watch everything.
That's true, but you'll get more insight than you've gotten from 6 years from me. So that's good. Go and subscribe. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I could talk to you forever. It's so nice. Can I ask you some questions?
Sure, if you want. Yeah.
Do you have time?
Oh, I got all night.
Okay, well, I guess I just wanted to know what got you into the hobby.
Of crafting or of gaming?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I guess both. Are they different timelines?
Oh, yeah. My cousin Jeff got me into Dungeons & Dragons when I was 12 years old. But it wasn't until about 6 years ago, right when I started the channel, that I found DM Scotty's channel about crafting your own stuff out of hot glue and cardboard and really cheap stuff for your role-playing games. And so that was about 6 years ago that I first started that, and then a few months after that I started my channel. And then about 3-4 years ago I discovered Warhammer 40k and fell headlong into mass miniatures wargaming. So that opened up a whole... The first half of my channel is a lot of dungeon tiles, and it's all D&D specific. Then I start going into bigger terrain features projects. That's when I discovered wargaming.
Do you find that with your videos, does your audience watch both?
No, and it's been a problem. And I've thought about ways to solve it, like doing a second channel, which I actually tried for doing hosting my battle reports, but I've ultimately decided that the channel is a hobby thing. I have a day job, and if it's ever going to pop and take off, then it will, and if it doesn't, I'm at peace with that. It does fine. I mean, right now it pays for my hobbies. It pays for itself, and inevitably I'll post a Fuel Depot, and someone will post, "Oh no, not fantasy," and then I'll post fantasy. "Oh, can you do more Warhammer 40k?" So I do what I want to do.
I think that's what I'm starting to experience, because I think it's just odd to me, the club environment that I'm in, the crossover for all the games we play. Like everyone plays every game there. Everyone plays D&D. Everyone plays Warhammer. Everyone plays Necromunda and whatever's trending at the moment. Yeah. So
I think people do themselves a disservice when they say I'm not interested in a particular genre or game. I used to be that way, I will say. I confess it. And I finally gave 40k a shot, and the lore is awesome, the models are beautiful. There's just so much there. It's so rich, and I don't know how you could not find that setting awesome if you're into sci-fi fantasy at all as a geek. So
And I saw that you're not using 40k rule sets.
No, I haven't actually played 40k itself in quite a while. I used the indie rule set by One Page Rules. It's called Grimdark Future, but it still feels like 40k, and it uses their models, but all the names are changed, and the rules are different. It plays very differently. It's fast-paced. You can get the equivalent of a 2,000-point army in 40k. You know, you can get that done in about 2 hours. I just find it to be a lot more enjoyable. Easy to start, and it's a shared round back and forth. I activate a unit, you activate a unit, rather than sitting there for 45 minutes on turn one and having to take everything. And you can't. I find it much more interactive.
Okay, well, that's cool. All right, I'll check that one out. What do you like the most about your hobby?
I love publishing day for videos. When I've completed a project and I've done the video and I click go public, that first 3 hours is always, even to this day, is quite a rush. I love it. I do it.
You read all the comments and stuff?
Yeah, I do it at a time when I can, when there's nothing else going on. Yeah, I'm at home or I'm in bed and I could just be on my phone following comments in real time. Enjoy, people say they enjoy it and I say thanks for watching. And the fact that people are into stuff that you're doing is pretty awesome. I mean, right?
That's good. I'm glad we share that. I think every time I upload something, I'm like, I could never get sick of this. It's just, reading such nice feedback, and especially when you do stuff that is personal or resonates with you, or something you're really proud of, and you release it and people relate to it or get excited or inspired or just
I will say one of the most. So this is I had one video I did where I did steampunk style dungeon tiles, and I learned that steampunk is not an aesthetic. It's a
lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah. So putting gears and pipes and things on it does not make it steampunk. So, and apparently there's like memes about that. I had no idea. So a lot of the comments were constructive criticism, and I didn't feel. I felt great about that. I liked. Reading that coming in, it was refreshing to not get hey, awesome, love it, best ever, blah blah blah. I like that the viewers were honest. So that was a pretty cool experience, I will say, to have a negative reception to a video. It's not a bad thing.
Okay. Take a leaf out of your book if that happens. So what do you think about crafting as a culture?
So, making tabletop miniature terrain stuff for tabletop gaming has been around for decades, right? I'm not a forebearer or an innovator of it. I've just gotten into it. People like BM Scotty, I think he set a tone a few years ago when he started his channel, and spawned people like me and Jeremy and DMG, and it's not really a competitive atmosphere. It's a very positive atmosphere. So that our particular ring, the culture is extremely positive. It's not I don't see much judgment, to the point that maybe there isn't constructive criticism where there should be some. You never know. But it's a very positive environment. Now, from what I understand, the bad old days of like the miniature wargaming scene and that guy, is that a thing, right? That guy. I've read 1D4chan. So from what I understand, there are, there's bad apples and subsectors, but I find it in this day and age, now that geek is chic and we truly have won the culture war here 30 years later, I don't foresee making stuff with your hands as being ridiculed anymore, or ridiculable by anyone.
Are you into 3D printing yet? Is that something?
Yeah, so I'm a 50-50 partner in TrueTiles, so we designed and released TrueTiles. So we sell those on Heroes Horde. I do 3D print occasionally if there's something that's beyond my capability. I just need something for a project, but Other than that, I try to avoid my 3D printer because it's a frustrating machine and I hate it.
Well, that's fair enough. There's one thing that I have an answer for that I'm excited about. But is there anyone in the crafting space that you're excited about that you might think doesn't get enough recognition in the space yet?
Oh, well, that's why we're having this conversation tonight. So I'll pick someone else. So Eric's Hobby Workshop. I've talked about him recently.
Yeah, he's cool.
Bard's Craft. I've talked about him recently.
Also very cool.
I get my teeth itch when I watch him sometimes, but because he's really on the end of just winging it and precision does not matter. But there's some of that I want to rub off on me, so I watch him religiously. Frankie D. Crafter. He's got a really cool style. It's really colorful.
Also very cool.
Yeah, very vibrant.
Like
he's not afraid of color.
Saturation.
Yeah, which is neat. I feel terrible because I know there's a lot of great
ones
that I'm missing, and they reach out to me, and I try to reply to everybody, but like you said earlier, there's probably 150 crafting channels out there now for tabletop gaming, and I just feel terrible because all my time is over here filming and editing and stuff. And
it's amazing if you go on YouTube and you search your usual keywords and stuff, and you search by new, and you see how many channels there are. So many, it's just 10 views, 50 views, and there's some really brilliant stuff.
Yes. Some are like starting out on their phone cam, just like I did, but others clearly, it's their first video, but they clearly know what they're doing with video editing because they're gorgeously shot, right?
Yeah. Everything is. Well, my favorite channel, he doesn't post very much, but it's Craftnix. Have you seen?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And
I got to meet him briefly at the conference last year.
Oh, cool. Yep. Yeah. Just everything he puts out, I'm so excited to watch because it's so wholesome, and he cares so much about what he does, and it it makes me feel good after watching every single thing that he puts out. And it's not even about the crafts, I'm not necessarily learning new techniques or anything, but I'm just enjoying his personality and what he brings to the hobby. So that would be my number one recommendation. And I say that to everyone that messages me. But the whole YouTube space is getting so much more accessible now, which is something that I'm really excited about. Editing software and camera gear, and phone cameras are great now. There's lots of free software that's great. You're using Blender at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know how you do it. I love Blender, I love all the 3D side of it, but that editing suite freaks me out.
It did at first, but like I've said, there's that tutorial. It took me 90 minutes. I came from Premiere, so if you can use Premiere and then you watch that Mikey Cal tutorial, in 90 minutes you'll be up and running. So that's what I did.
So you started with Premiere and then you moved.
Yeah, I had Premiere from 1999 or something.
Okay.
Old version. And then I went to Windows 7 and it stopped working. And I was like, I'm not going to buy a new one. Google what is free? And Blender came up, so I gave it a shot.
This might be a bit of a hard one to answer.
Good.
So you might have to have a bit of an ego for this one, but what do you think about your videos resonates with other people?
So there's a certain subset of folks who are kind of wired the way I am, as far as they enjoy measuring and precision, and the fact that I go step by step as opposed to high-level summaries and stories. Some people just dig that style. Not a majority, as it seems, but I think that's probably what resonates most. And as far as the projects themselves, the actual technical content, the particular dungeon tile style that I like to do is one of the popular ones. it's certainly not my electric personality.
There's some great moments in your video.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But again, like we've talked about earlier, just the past 7 or 8 videos, ever since things slowed down at work and I've done a reset on this, I've tried to let loose a little bit. I'm trying to have a lot more fun when I make videos. I do like to goof around on YouTube. I do jokes now, I do gags, and it's not because I'm trying, it's because this actually happened.
Yeah. Do you have a dream video you want to make one day?
Oh yeah, this folder has been in my folder for a long time. A full-scale, functional Imperator Titan. It's the feet are in the closet. The feet have been done for a while, but it's going to be 38 inches tall. The shoulders and elbows are powered by Arduino and stepper motors, and lights everywhere. But it.
Wow.
I haven't made any progress on it in about 2.5 years, and honestly, that would be the dream if I could ever finish that one. But I don't think.
Why
it's
haven't
gonna
you?
happen. The scale of it is too enormous. I would have to not put out videos for like a year while I work on this thing. Because again, I work. I have a day job. I'm able to spend 6 to 10 hours on crafting and YouTube video making, like all total on the hobby, 6 to 10 hours a week. It just won't be worth my time, I don't think. But I haven't thrown them away.
Okay.
I bought all the Arduino stuff, so I'll probably use I got to use that somewhere because I have all this circuitry sitting there.
Yeah, well, I love all the inclusion of your electronics in your builds, like lights and stuff like that.
Super fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I'm really excited to play with more. As soon as I can start ordering from China again.
Your Christmas lights?
Yeah, I bought a heap of those battery-powered ones, but I'd love like colored LEDs to play with.
Yeah, that's what I harvested them, and now I've got a lifetime supply of that. But even the old ones with the filament work too. You can connect those to a watch battery, a 3-volt, and they light up.
I don't understand. See, that's nice.
So that. I don't know if you're familiar with the Tomb of Horrors, but there's an altar in there that swirls blue and it's see-through. And then when the trap is triggered, it glows red inside. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
It's
a whole nother world, though. So I've got to... Actually, when you were talking about your Titan, I was thinking about on this old forum that I'm on, there's a guy that's been scratch building one for like the past 4 years, like since I joined, and it's just the weekly updates. And I thought, maybe it's you. Okay, this is a bit of a creator question, but has there ever been a point where you've wanted to stop making videos?
Yeah, several points. There's been some dark moments, and when channel growth was really slow and it's like, this doesn't seem to be worth it, or family life is more important, and with family and job, and like when I switched jobs a couple years ago, getting up to speed, it just felt like there's no room for this in my life right now. So there have been moments where I've thought about, I've been very close to actually canceling the channel and just letting it be as is, and that's it. But I always seem to come back. It's weird.
What do you think that is? Is there like a moment where you've turned on the camera and
I'll get an idea for a project, or just after a hiatus, the juice comes back. You ever watch Mad Men?
No.
Okay, well, this metaphor won't really, or whatever.
Okay.
Analogy won't. Never mind. I'll just edit that out. But lightning bolt moments. They bring me back, and the actual editing, making videos at the keyboard and mouse is fun for me. The act of doing that is pretty fun too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I had a string of, or I was doing pour hammer scratch build models. I did a series of them. This was like 2 or 3 years into the channel, and I was so excited about them when I made them. I thought they were the coolest thing. These are gonna go viral because it's like it's 8 cents and there's a plastic spoon, and look, it's scaled correctly. It's perfectly good counts as. It's a cheap way for newbies to get into 40K. But like, nobody watched those videos. And looking back now, I cringe when I watch them because I have real models now, and the real models are awesome. I've actually unlisted a bunch of those videos, but that was a moment where I considered calling it. When you see other YouTubers come up and pass you by, that can be disheartening. And you think, well, that's a canary in the coal mine. Maybe it's time to call it, but I didn't. So,
is there anyone like in the space that you're watching the most often? Like, do you watch much content that gets put out at the moment?
Not nearly as much as I would like. I try to, but not nearly as much as I would like.
I'm the same way. Like, just trying to keep up with everything that my friends put out, and it's just it's all so great. And if I like being a 12-year-old kid on the internet, I would have been like, this is the dream. This is everything I could have asked for.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just all my free time is spent over here at the desk and making the video. But I watch the channels we talked about earlier. Black Magic Craft, DM's Craft. DMG doesn't put out videos anymore.
Will he come back? Do you have any inside information?
So he said in November that he had a whole revolutionary new approach coming out starting in January, but we have yet to see that. We'll see, but I have no inside information. Tabletop Engineer, DM Jim is another big one. I love that guy.
Yeah, I'm sure you get lots of messages to collaborate and all that sort of stuff.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
A lot of product people wanting to, sponsors and stuff, and I say no to most of that. Especially Raid Shadow Legends. Oh, it feels so good to say no thank you. So that, and then they reply and they're like, "Are you? What's the issue? What are you sure it's I'm not gonna say how much, but it's X $1,000." I'm like, no.
Products and advertising. Obviously, you can cut all this out. But is products and advertising something that
I've done?
Is it a moral decision, or?
I've done it a bit, and it's really stressful because you get the free product or whatever, or the fee, whatever you've arranged with them, and now you got to do it. And for me, this isn't a job; it's a hobby, and I've just been really under the gun to fulfill my end of those bargains. It's really painful. So now I've just said I'm extremely selective about this, and I very rarely do product feature type stuff.
Yeah, it seems like a lot to sort of. I don't know. I've had a lot of like moral, dilemmas.
Yeah, well, Vallejo sent me a big one of their full game color range and their environmental effects paints, and I was like, that's awesome. I could definitely use that. I'll be happy to feature that in every episode, and I do, and that's awesome because I actually use the product and I actually like it, so I have no qualms about that. Obviously, things that have nothing to do with crafting, like what was it, a lamp or something that they wanted. They were going to offer me $500 to do a spot for a lamp. I was like, this has nothing to do with me. So my usual, I have a notepad where I just copy pasted in. Thanks for reaching out. However, this is not aligned with the mission of my channel. Thanks. I wish you the best of luck. Do the creator. I would give myself this advice. It seems like we're a bit alike in that regard because you've talked about this before in videos about how you don't like to go to Reddit and you don't like to self-promote.
Yeah. Self-promotion even it's like I feel like I need to be giving a lot more to the community than I'm getting out of it, and that's why I don't really push my stuff. Sometimes I do when I'm really proud of it and I think it's unseen before or whatever, but I don't know. Are there any products that you have like an allegiance to or swear by or you think are essential to your hobby?
Sure Bonder, hot glue.
Yeah.
So I have a formal thing with them.
Okay. Yeah.
Vallejo makes awesome paint, I think.
Yeah.
And Plaid makes good craft grade paint for terrain, not for miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people. Miniature.
Mm-hmm.
You got to use proper miniature paints.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So thanks to Trent for your time tonight. Really appreciate it. I wanted to get inside your mind a little bit. And
thank you very much for talking to me.
Yeah, it was a really nice conversation. Yeah. Again.
Yeah, and hopefully you get to do more stuff.
Yeah. As soon as schedules align, man. And
tell me about it.
No one has an excuse in the world right now for not being able to do something. But again, everyone needs to go and subscribe to Miscast, formerly known as Miscast Terrain. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next time.
All right.
Okay. Bye.